Well, good evening and welcome back to DR Sports. Newcastle take the second leg as an advantage. They've won the first leg 1-0, a brilliant away victory. It was actually what Matty Renton predicted would happen, in all fairness to him. But how do you react to that one, guys? That was a brilliant game to watch, in all fairness. That had it all: yellow cards, red cards, goals, controversial moments, goals disallowed. It really did have it all, and it really all centered around one man. And that man was Joe Linton, the Brazilian midfielder, if we can even say that these days, for Newcastle. Let us know in the chat right now what your thoughts were towards that game. Like I said, Newcastle now going to the second leg back to St. James's Park with that 1-0 advantage. Nick Pope again keeping a clean sheet tonight. I think that's 10 in a row now. That is unbelievable. And he is storming the Premier League in terms of defensive stats. Abdullah Gaming says, as an Arsenal fan, I think Nick Pope is the best goalkeeper in the league. Thoughts? Well, my thoughts are right now, if we're going on current form, he is that man. He is that man that is keeping the most clean sheets. A big argument to say that maybe Newcastle could have scored more tonight. They had a lot of chances. Again, Joel Linton, even though he had his first goal disallowed unfairly, let us know in the comments if that should have stood or not. But the second chance he had, he's missed it underneath the crossbar from about 4 yards out, skies it into, I'd say, row H or something like that. And then he scores the winning goal. So what a game for Joel Linton, and what a game for Newcastle as they now get that little bit closer to going back to Wembley and trying to win a trophy. I would love to see them win a trophy, if I'm honest. If it's over Manchester United in the final, then you know who I'm choosing. But let's dissect the game in its fullest. Keep the comments coming in, guys. Match stats then: 56% possession Newcastle had to 44% for Southampton. 15 shots they had as well, 13 shots for Southampton. Both teams 3 shots on target, 4 corners for Southampton and 1 for Newcastle only. This is the key fact though: 11 fouls made by Southampton to 7 for Newcastle. Let's go into the yellow and red cards here because there was a lot to keep count of. Walker Peters got a yellow. Lianco got a yellow for almost beating up his own compatriot. Kaleta Carr, the Croatian, was sent off. Jacob Murphy giving him a little wave goodbye off the pitch as well. Red card for him. 2 yellow cards. Salisu got a yellow, and Alcaraz. So you're looking at every defender that started that game got a yellow card for Southampton. Trippier and St. Maximum getting yellow cards also as well for Newcastle. But it was unbelievably tense really to watch, knowing that there's 2 legs. You know that Newcastle are going to bring the noise when it comes back to and Bruno Guimaraes got a yellow card as well, which BBC haven't quite picked up yet. But knowing that Newcastle are going to bring the noise, bring the energy, bring all the positive vibes for the second leg, I feel like Southampton should have done a little bit more today. Now they had big chances. Che Adams was through on goal, missed. Armstrong obviously had his goal disallowed. So there were times in the game where Southampton did look like they could score, and maybe even go on to win the game with the chances they had. But no, it was end-to-end stuff, and it really was one of those games where even though it was only 1-0, you were fully entertained, weren't you, the whole way through? So that's what Newcastle are at the minute. They're going back to the entertainment era that they had. By the way, guys, I have sent a link over to Matty Renton. I know he was at the game tonight, so we're going to see if we can try and get him on shortly. But there's no promises. But obviously, we did want someone who was in the Newcastle end tonight. But let's go through the game then. It started off very feisty, tackles flying in all over the gaff. And in the first half, Wilson, who started up front for Newcastle, failed really to find many massive chances. But again, when you've got Isaac to come off the bench, when you can bring on St. Maximum to come off the bench, you are looking at 2 players that can change the game. And they did. Isaac with the assist for Joel Linton in the end. But going in at half time, I think both teams would have taken it. Newcastle wouldn't really mind being 0-0 away in the first leg. There's no rush really, knowing that you've got the second leg to come at home. But when the 2 teams come out in the second half, the intensity definitely ramped up a bit. James Ward-Prowse whipping in incredible balls into the box, very dangerous for Newcastle to defend. I actually would go as far as saying he's the best set piece taker in the Premier League. which I don't think is massively controversial these days because he proves it week in, week out. He proves how good he is at whipping in a ball with his right foot. But then the goal came. Well, a massive miss came, by the way, as well for Joel Linton, as I mentioned. But then the goal came. Really good work from Isaac on the right-hand side. Finds Joel Linton, and he definitely couldn't miss this one. If he missed that one, I don't know what Matty Renton would be saying about him tonight in his post-match reaction. But he gets the goal that separates the two teams. And to lose a man as well, bit of stupidness really from Coletta Carr. He had to make the foul, but the rest of it was a bit of a bit carry-on-ish. So he now won't be in the second leg. He won't be involved unless that one-match ban goes, or you can use it up in the Premier League. Then he might well be back because there is a few games separating these two games. But poor from Southampton, really, on the scale of things, when you consider that they just beaten Manchester City at home to get through and play Newcastle in this round, when you consider the noise they drummed up for that, the chances that they had. And again, they'll be kicking themselves tonight. They will be kicking themselves tonight for having so many chances and not being able to put them away. I'm looking at Che Adams in particular. There was a couple of chances from Alcaraz from a header. There was a few shots that went over the number 18. Had a kind of overhead kick, which was all very well and good, but it does remain 1-0 to Newcastle, and that's how it finished. Let's go through some of your comments, and also let us know. Maybe we can put a poll up as well. Is this Newcastle's year where they finally break that duck and get a trophy in the cabinet? One that doesn't have dust on it and one that isn't maybe 50, 55 years old. Let's see if they can. But let us know in the comments. Can Newcastle finally win a trophy this season? Belly81 says Newcastle need to take their chances. They took a chance in the end, which was enough. But I agree, if Southampton came, even though it's weird to say this, Southampton had big chances of their own. But if Southampton came out of that game with a draw, they would have been buzzing. But for Newcastle, they're going to go away tonight thinking we should have killed the game off tonight with 3 or 4 goals. And I agree, they do need to be a little bit more clinical. I think 3 out of the last 5 games they've played have ended 0-0, which is great when you're looking to carry on the consecutive run of clean sheets, which again makes Nick Pope easily England's most informed goalkeeper right now. Maybe Ramsdale is there or thereabouts too, but they need to score more goals, and I think Wilson does that whenever he's on. He gets chances, and he rarely doesn't score. That's why I was a little bit surprised about his performance tonight. But when you've got Isaac to come off the bench, this is what I was telling you. When you've got him to come off the bench and he can assist as well as score, but he assists a midfield player tonight. We know that Miggy Almiron is having a very good season, hasn't scored in a few weeks. We know that Bruno Guimaraes can always pop up with the goal. And obviously, Alan St-Maximum is very clinical too. There was a chance at the end for him, another chance for Jacob Murphy, hit the side netting. But I agree, Newcastle should have scored more goals tonight. Big up to you as well, Scars Music. Nick Pope, what a goalkeeper. England's number 1, says Azif Ali. Isaac is a baller, says Endo. Big up to you. Isaac should be starting, says Jemai. And Sif Amotan says, imagine if Newcastle got Bellingham or Camavinga. I can dream. And maybe Vlahovic as well. Big up AGT. Newcastle Man United will be a good final. And obviously the game tomorrow night, Nottingham Forest take on Manchester United. Now, if that's not a tie to get your mouth watering, I don't know what is. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, this tie was massive, especially in the late 80s, actually. So is there another Newcastle-Manchester United final in the offing? I think the last one, United won 3-0 in the FA Cup, maybe the year 2000, if I'm not mistaken. Again, you can feel free to fact check, but I think it was. But I'd be all for it. Newcastle at Wembley, the fans that they've got, trust me, that could be a very, very special weekend for those mugs. To be honest, Newcastle need to work on their finishing if they want to lock down top 4. It's a good point, and that's what we were just talking about. He did get a yellow. ASM also got booked for no reason. He did. I think there was a reason, though, for that push. Kenneth Stark, Newcastle deserved it, but But again, didn't have our shooting boots on. It's a bit worrying, showing 3 football emojis there, which is actually 2 more than they scored tonight. If Newcastle could finish their chances, they would be even more dangerous, as we've just mentioned there. Isaac, very good. Game changer. Assist for Joel Linton, says Mustafa. Now, this is a good question. Is Gordon going to Newcastle? Shout out to Everton today for their owner not only having to deal with the sacking of Frank Lampard yesterday, but also now officially putting the club up for sale, people. Massive news if you're an Everton fan. Hopefully for them, good times are coming back if you're an Everton fan. But I'm hearing today that, like Belly has just mentioned there, Anthony Gordon could go to Newcastle for less than the money that Tottenham offered Everton for Anthony Gordon in the summer, which was around 50 to 60 million. I'm hearing Newcastle could get him at a snip. What do you think of that? If you are an Everton fan or even a Newcastle fan, is that good business? Is that a player you want to bring to the club? Let us know as I sip a little bit of tea. Not the best from the misses, if I'm honest. Lacking a little bit of flavour. But I tell you one who wasn't lacking flavour tonight, that was Newcastle, absolutely. Newcastle with Isaac over Man City, says Haas. Not too sure about that. Newcastle definitely need a number 10 and a winger. Well, they've got Alan Saint-Maximin, obviously not on form, struggling for minutes this season. But if he does find his shooting boots and he really levels up his performances, then you are again looking at maybe the player that they do need. But again, these are chances. The second leg is next week. Big up to you, Archie, for reminding me. It is next week. No game separating the first and second leg. So there you go. Kaletakar will definitely be out of that second leg, and they'll probably have to go with Bednarek. Southampton will in that second leg. At St James's, where Newcastle will try and win that to go to Wembley once more. It's been a long time. Brilliant Pope saves as well. I mean, I saw a stat during the game. In the last 9 games, people, he's faced 19 shots. Do you want to know how many of them he saved? Go on. Before I say it, get in the comments. Let's have a look. See if you're paying attention to the game. So in the last, just to remind you, the last 9 games he's played in, clean sheets in all 9. He's faced, well, now 10. He's faced 19 shots. How many of those has he saved? 19. That's correct. That is correct. Geordie Toon for life, obviously paying attention during the game. It was 2-0 in 1999. I said 3-0 in 2000. Shoot me. Big up to you, though, Shiv. I love your picture there. Massive fan of Nas. And that is the Illmatic album, I believe. So big up to you. Yes, I agree with this. Eddie Howe doing magnificent job. They enjoy playing under him, says Steve. Are you a Rotherham fan, Steve? What's RFC? Trying to think. Rotherham United, aren't they? But RFC, big up to you. Rangers, maybe. That's why we need Joel Linton and CM and Maxi on the wing. So much more dangerous, says Luke Frampor. Obviously a Newcastle fan. I hope to see Newcastle in the Champions League. I remember they played in the Champions League group stage 20 years ago. I think it was 2001. And other teams below the top 4 have no consistency. Spurs is not good, but still in it. Very true. We were robbed by VAR again. This is obviously a Southampton fan. Let's talk about that goal then. Armstrong with the goal. He did have a strong arm to put it in the end, but that was a handball. So tell me where you were robbed, if I'm honest, because that goal, and he was an ex-Newcastle player, so the celebration, he got amongst it. But tell me how that should have stood. I mean, unless I'm missing something big time, I'm pretty sure that was rightfully ruled out by VAR. LR says, when Newcastle have invested and been rewarded for it in attack, there's such a problem. You're not wrong there, fella, or lady. LR, big up to you. What's your name? Let me know. Not sure if Eddie Howe's mantra, he's arrogant, and I'm not sure he'll fit. Talking about who we're just talking about, Anthony Gordon from Geordie Waster 84. Big up to you, great name. It was 19. Well done to you. Newcastle need to sign Madison, says Belly 81. I'm a Rangers fan. We're rivals with Celtic. Yes, I'm aware. I'm aware of the rivalry, mate. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came off the bench and scored 4 in 1999. He did indeed. Wonder what he's up to now. Anyway, let's move on to maybe Newcastle going back into a big final and going back to Wembley. And as I mentioned, bringing all those amazing fans down with them. If they do get into the final and come up against the Manchester United, if I'm really honest with you, obviously a lot of people would potentially say Manchester United would be favourites for that final. And obviously the game is, the tie rather, isn't over. There's still 90 minutes to play. However, I wouldn't have Manchester United as favourites going into that final. Yes, they're on form. Yes, they've got the pedigree. but they have not been in a final for a while, guys. They obviously lost. Well, they have been in a final recently. They lost to Villarreal on penalties, but I think Newcastle, with the defence they've got, and I would almost say the over reliance that United have got at the minute to Rashford, I would actually have Newcastle down as favourites. Let us know in the comments if you agree or not. Going to be close tomorrow between Forest and Man U. Score prediction. Oh, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Manchester United scoreline. I think they just about see it through. Luke, you're absolutely right. As much as I wanted it to be a goal, it was a handball. One of those you see the replays and just have to concede it. So big up to you for realizing your mistake there, fella. Would you take a player like Guimaraes at Liverpool? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He's actually what we need right now, if I'm honest. He's almost got it all from what I can see. He's a goal scorer, an assist maker. He's got flair, but he's also a bit of a fighter as well. You may even say he got that dog in him. I would technically agree with you. You're talking crap, Norman. Where Newcastle beat us from Z Gold, obviously a Manchester United fan. Manchester United tire after 50 to 55 minutes. You're not wrong there either. Respectfully disagree, says Gemini. Respectfully back to you. Thank you for that. AGT, would you rather have Isaac or Nunez? It would be Nunez, my friend. Take your Liverpool hat off. You really hate United. Listen, I obviously have a very strong rivalry against Manchester United, but you have to almost take your hat off to them and you have to admit that they have massively improved. There's no doubt about that. The run they've put together, allowing Rashford to be his true self again. There's a lot of things going right at Manchester United right now, but we're yet to see how. It'll be interesting to judge them on how the season ends. I think they're still technically the only English club in potentially contention to win all 4 competitions. That's FA Cup, Premier League, Europa League, and Prem. So that gets props. And I'll give them their props. Trust me. But obviously, yeah, I do hate them. Maybe Bray says, dying for a Forest win tomorrow, making the 3-hour trip up from Bristol to see it, and can't get tickets for the away leg. Well, good luck, fella. Hope you find them in the end. Calm down. You couldn't beat us at your place. Alex is entitled to his opinion. It's all going off in the comments. AGT, I always enjoy the big up to you when someone's a bell end to you on streams. Me too, mate. That's part of the game, isn't it? Yeah, we're looking very leggy with a thin squad. Going back to the second leg for this one, if Southampton try and play and not just really rely on set pieces from James Ward-Prowse, I do believe they can cause Newcastle some issues. They did tonight. But at the same time, if Newcastle get one, that tie is over. I'm sorry. And that's why they will be kicking themselves that they couldn't really see it off tonight. They have not won a major trophy since 1955. We're talking what? 45. We're talking about 70 years, people. That's unbelievable. 68 years. Well, Southampton as well, for them to have beaten Manchester City in the last game. And again, you can look at it 2 ways tonight. Newcastle can look at it and say that should have been 2 or 3-0. It should have been the tie over. But Southampton could say, well, we got lucky with the VAR, or we got unlucky with the VAR. And we had chances ourselves. So they'll be kicking themselves that they didn't get at least a draw out of this. But if they go for it in St. James's and concede a goal first, then it's going to be a long night for them. And I think that truly would confirm Newcastle are going back to Wembley. So let us know your final thoughts here before we wrap it up. A couple more comments for you. Didn't catch the game with Southampton any good. They were useless when we played them earlier this month. They were okay. Not good enough, obviously, but they were okay. I wouldn't say it was an awful performance at all from Southampton. They made themselves fairly difficult to beat. Newcastle make the final, but United win it all, says Mohammed. Oh, Matty Renton might be with us, people. Let's see if we can get hold of him here. Matty Renton, are you there?
Hey!
How are we, fella?
Mate, I don't know if you can hear me. My voice is going. You've got Newcastle fans walking behind me. Mad scenes here at St. Mary's.
Yeah, it was 1-0 in the end. I was just saying, Matty. I was just saying, mate.
Oh, mate, I can't tell you, but I'll just speak. And hopefully you can pick it up. I'm absolutely buzzing, mate. Listen, you got Newcastle fans chanting. Tell me, ma, I won't be home for tea. We're going to Wembley. Newcastle United on the verge of the first final in over 20 years, mate. You can see St Mary's in the background. You can see Newcastle fans heading home. What's going to be, 7, 8, 9 hour bus journey. 6 hours on the train. Loads of them are staying over. We're going to be partying into the night, mate. Partying into the night. Unbelievable.
Good lad. You've had a good day, haven't you, with being on TV, being in the pub and all sorts. It's been a wicked day for you. Just before you go,
Mate,
if you can hear me,
I can't hear you now, mate.
you can.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can.
cool. Are you a little bit disappointed that that one did not finish 2 or 3-0 in the end?
I think the tie should be wrapped up, mate. I think the tie should be done. Should have been 3-0 easy. Now I'm hearing that Joe Linton's goal in the first half should have stood. Handball. I don't know, you would have seen it back more than me, but I don't understand why that's been disallowed. But Newcastle, in recent weeks and tonight, have wasted so many chances. Getting in so many good areas, hitting the side netting, putting it over the bar, time and time again. I mean, this game, the tie should be wrapped up, but for me, it doesn't matter. 1-0, take a lead in the second leg. They couldn't score tonight at home against Nick Pope. 10 clean sheets in a row for Nick Pope, by the way. 10 clean sheets in a row. These on scoring next week. Newcastle score 2 or 3. We're going to Wembley, baby. Woo!
Matty Renton absolutely buzzing. Do you know what? You deserve it, mate. I would love Newcastle to win this. What would it mean to win this trophy after a 68-year drought? What would it mean?
Mate, mental. We haven't won a trophy in 50, 60 years. We haven't been to a final since 1999. You know, this is our first semi-final in 18 years domestically. You know, these fans have been craving it. They've supported the club through thick and thin, and finally they're getting some sort of optimism, some sort of glory, and some sort of hope. You know, even the day out of Wembley, if we come up against Eric Ten Hag, we'll come up against Baldy Gunnar Solskjaer. I still fancy Eddie Howe to do the job. I think we'll win the final. But even if we don't, it's going to be a good day out, mate.
I actually wouldn't have. Let's just say, for instance, United and Newcastle get to the final. I wouldn't have United down as massive favourites for that. I think you could cause an upset and win a trophy this year. And obviously, they're desperate to win a trophy as well.
But the thing is, mate, I think Manchester United play against Barcelona in the Europa League 3 days before the final. So that could help Newcastle massively. You know, we have a week's break. They're playing Barcelona a few days beforehand. Will that be their focus? Will top 4 be their focus? I know Newcastle United's focus is bringing silverware back to Tyneside because it's been so long. Give me a trophy over Champions League football any day of the week, mate. Any day of the week.
No, unbelievable. Listen, I'll let you get on with it, fella. Thank you so much for checking in with us at DR Sports. I'll see you on the Saturday football show soon. Go and have a drink. You'll probably see yourself on TV in the pub as well, mate. Take care, brother. Enjoy it.
Pleasure, bro.
Drink
Big up, bro.
responsibly, though. So don't drink too much.
See you later, mate.
Good lad, son. How are the mugs? Go on, son. Well, there you go. Matty Renton live from outside St. Mary's. What a guy. What a night for him as well, by the way, as Newcastle look to guarantee their place at Wembley in the second leg. That was a lovely way to finish the show. A couple of comments coming in. Matty will be bouncing, says Geordie Toon for life. Matty, what a delightful accent. I have to say, big up to you, maybe, Bray. Missed the game, but I'm so happy for Big Joe getting his goal. Class, love this post-match. Big up to you, T-Boy. Some Ric Flair woos, 100%. 1955 FA Cup, then the 69 Fairs Cup, just for the record. Sorry about that. Of the Geordies. Absolutely. Right, well, there you go. That is your post-game live from here in Liverpool with myself, AGT. It's Southampton 0, Newcastle 1. And Matty Renton is absolutely buzzing with that one. Do Newcastle beat Southampton in the second leg? Let us know in the comments now what you think the score is going to be for that one. And then Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest tomorrow at the City Ground. Let us know what your score predictions are for that one. And then, of course, after you've done that, make sure you let us know who's going to win this competition, the Carabao Cup. Who's going to take it away from Liverpool as they are already out of the competition. So someone definitely will. But Newcastle, very hopeful there will be them. Of course, we'll be back on DR Sports for more of the same tomorrow. But until then, make sure you like the video, comment on your way out, like I just said, and subscribe to DR Sports. It's a good one. Trust me on that one. It's a very good channel.